This is Hannibal here from The Hannibal TV on YouTube and Facebook with my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter, plus other news. So this is going to be a lot of news this week, so I'll jump right into it. Logan Paul had Tom Brady on his show, and Tom Brady said it was quote-unquote cute that he does wrestling now. Logan Paul making millions and millions and millions in WWE. His matches are choreographed. He's able to promote Prime in his matches before he does a move. He'll hold up a Prime bottle. His matches are very scripted looking because they're totally scripted. And WWE, of course, with their Unreal show, reveals that wrestlers like to hug and cry after their matches. That everything is put together by agents, every punch, every stomp, every kick. But you can't, and plus they have celebrities do it. They have celebrities do it. So how can there be such a big backlash because Tom Brady, one of the greatest football players of all time, say it's cute? You can't put pro wrestling on the same level with pro football players just because you don't kayfabe anymore. And by the way, your WWE champion right now, CM Punk, got his ass kicked horribly 2 times in UFC. The second time was so bad that Dana White said he wouldn't have even put that fight on his UFC Fight Pass streaming service at the time. Anyway, some of the responses was Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, and I'm sorry, I'm bored of Paul Heyman. I'm bored of seeing him as a manager, and Paul Heyman is on the WWE Unreal. Who says he says on it that he's against the Unreal, but he then goes and breaks kayfabe on the Unreal. Basically says that Brady would have been nothing without Rob Gronkowski and Bill Belichick. They deserve all of Tom Brady's success. Okay, well, I think Brady has been in won 7 or 8 Super Bowls. I'm not a big football fan, but he's played for multiple teams. He's widely considered one of the all-time greats. Nice try, Paul. CM Punk said, "What's wrong with cute? I'm cute, Tom." Drew McIntyre, who breaks kayfabe all the time. Even leading up to matches, he'll break kayfabe and, I'm excited to work with this guy, blah, 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 blah. He calls Tom's comment coming from a place of ignorance. Oba Femi, the next guy they're pushing for. Again, Oba Femi, he was paid to train. He was a shot putter, part of the WWE's college athlete program. I don't even know if he would have been in wrestling if he hadn't been paid to train. He challenges Tom Brady to try pro wrestling. I don't think he's doubting. I don't think Brady was doubting that it takes athleticism. But right now, you can't defend wrestling anymore. You don't kayfabe. You have a show about how fake it is. Wrestlers break kayfabe all the time. There was just something in the news. Liv Morgan, I think, or whoever won the Women's Royal Rumble, forgot to point at the WrestleMania sign because you know what you got to do now is point at the WrestleMania sign when you win the Royal Rumble. She forgot, and there was a deal where the producers in the back were throwing a fit. They had to tell the referee. The referee told her. To me, wrestling is just not cool at all right now, and cute would be a good way to describe it. So I agree with Tom Brady, and I think if people want more respect for wrestling, they should treat it with more respect. It just looks like a bunch of people going out there play fighting choreographed matches right now and reciting promos to me. I certainly will not stick up for it. And let me get on to the next topic. Dave Meltzer had some comments on the Janelle Grant speech from yesterday, or it may have been 2 days ago. I just want to say about Meltzer, there's some parts I like about him, but for one thing, he's very, very biased to AEW. I know they buy ads with him on their website, and I know he's friends with a lot of people in AEW, but his bias to AEW is very, very obvious, particularly when you listen to his radio show. By the way, he agreed with his Wrestling Observer poll that Tony Khan was the best wrestling booker of last year, 2025. Tony Khan, whose company got less popular than ever last year, to the point where they had numerous crowds under 1,000. He was the best booker of last year. The guy that hires wrestlers and then just has them sit at home. Britt Baker's been sitting at home over a year. Chris Jericho sat home forever. I guess Jericho, by the way, is apparently still under AEW contract, which is why he hasn't debuted in WWE yet. They tacked time onto his contract, but he's under contract. They're still not using him. Anyways, he's very democratic and he's very biased. But I found his commentary on Janelle Grant's speech very biased because I can spot a worker. Janelle Grant is a worker. And she was so brave for coming out and giving the speech. And if you didn't hear my review of Janelle Grant's speech yesterday, the first thing she said on the mic was, I wrote this speech in the car on the way here. Okay, Janelle Grant, who has a promotion company behind her that used to work for Biden and Obama. She actually hired a promotion company for her lawsuit. And she has lawyers. Do you honestly think she just wrote that on the way there without getting her promotional company's approval? With whatever she's spending for this promotional company. Anyways, to say that as the first line of her speech, I wrote this on the way, that tells me she's a liar. It tells me first of all, I listened to it. It was a very legally worded speech. So I truly think the lawyers or promotional company wrote it. But otherwise, you're doing a victims of violence speech. And you have that little respect for them that you're only going to write it on the way. And we've been hearing about you 3 or 4 years. This is your first public appearance. You're only going to write it on the way to the speech. I just don't believe you. And Dave Meltzer didn't bring any attention to that. I totally disagree with his take that she's brave. She's trying to get more money out of this. Instead of keeping her mouth shut, she only got $1 million instead of the $3 million that she was given. Some of the comments Dave Meltzer mentions, Grant said she was too scared to leave her house more than 10 times last year. Really? Because Janelle Grant also said she took a job basically running a high-end apartment building. So really, did she really leave her house just doing that remotely? Maybe. But also, how many people, she only has like 2 or 3 pictures out on the internet. How many people are really going to recognize Janelle Grant in public, honestly? That, I worry about leaving my house. I mean, the story has died down significantly at this point. I don't think she has the paparazzi waiting outside her house, wherever she is now. I don't believe her on that, but apparently Meltzer takes everything she says as gospel. She talked about things in the case, or she talked about like the federal investigation of McMahon as if it was still ongoing. It was thrown out. It was actually thrown out. There's no more federal investigation onto McMahon. The only active case going on is the case between Janelle Grant and McMahon, whether she has a case in civil law or if the agreement she signed will force it to arbitration. That's coming up this summer. Did the NDA that she signed, did that have to do with civil law, or is she forced into arbitration? That's it. Then we'll see where it goes from there. It'll either be taken to arbitration or she'll win, and it'll go to civil court. This whole speech was about, she thinks, she never went to the police. Never went to the police. She could have gone to the police about this years and years and years of human trafficking, as she called it. And she even uses the line in this, Vince McMahon was served with papers that included words like trafficking. And by the way, I don't think McMahon is a saint at all. I just think she signed an agreement. She didn't abide by it. And she still wants her money. despite not abiding by the agreement. That's what it all comes down to. If that's, and I did check with a lawyer on this, lawyer friend of mine, Brian, who did confirm this. Had that federal case gone to trial and she had been subpoenaed, she would have been able to talk about the NDA stuff, but McMahon would have been made aware of it. However it came out, the information in her NDA that came public that caused the rest of her money to be not given to her, that did not come out in any court situation. That came out in a Wall Street Journal Wall Street Journal article. But yeah, if she does, here's the thing: how can you agree to an NDA and then not follow it? I just don't get it. Why she would even sign an NDA if she didn't agree to the terms? She's smart. She was dating a really smart guy at the time of all this. She has good lawyers. So how do you not know? If you don't like the terms of an NDA, don't sign it. You're trying to say that you should sign non-disclosures so people pay you off to keep your mouth shut, but you shouldn't have to keep your mouth shut. To me, that makes no sense. Either take him to jail and sue him and take him all the way so you don't have to sign an NDA, or don't sign the NDA. But if you sign the NDA, you got to abide by it. I had to sign an NDA with WWE when I sued them, and I abided by it. I never talked about the details of what happened there. Anyway, by the way, Meltzer, to go on to another topic, Meltzer also said in this that Takashita versus Will Ospreay is going to be talked about 20 years from now like Flair Steamboat. And he truly thinks these guys are the greatest of the great. To me, they're acrobatic, fake-looking matches. Yes, Flair versus Steamboat matches were spotty, but they were realistic spots. There was no leg slapping. The bias he has towards AEW is disgusting. He also thinks that Omega versus Swerve 20 years from now are going to be talked about of some of the greatest matches ever. Again, to me, Swerve is horrible. I was never a fan of Kenny Omega, but I'm not a fan of either of them. To be honest, I haven't sat through one of their matches long enough to be able to give a fair critique, but I've seen my fair share of Omega and his stuff. Just, yes, it's very athletic. Wrestling is just becoming it's a pure performance of athletic. It's not believable anymore. It's just people performing acrobatic stuff. And if they can't do it, it's performing other stuff. But I'm not really interested in it other than the behind-the-scenes gossip these days. As far as the WrestleMania 25% off ticket discount, they did that due to low sales. It hasn't really affected ticket sales too much. So a lot of people are not interested in WrestleMania this year. They had a WWE tryout last week. Miranda Alize had a tryout in the match. I have a lot of Miranda Alize matches on my channel. She's a decent wrestler. She walked out instead of having to do a job on AEW Collision not too long ago. That got her a lot of heat. But obviously, WWE was still looking at her. Dean Malenko's daughter tried out. Dean Malenko. There's another guy that to me was overrated. Very technical, but one of the most boring wrestlers of all time. His daughter's good looking, though. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would bet that Dean Malenko's daughter is going to be signed. Apparently, in wrestling across the board, the people watching it most are 50 years old and over these days. There's less younger people watching wrestling than ever. It's definitely not considered cool to young people. I think a lot of the people watching wrestling are people that liked it during the golden eras that are just hanging on, still watching it. They're still bragging about AEW Grand Slam from last week from Australia. They had a 0.10 rating, 502,000 viewers. Keep in mind the debut episode of Collision back in June 2023 did 816,000 viewers and a 0.33 rating. There you go. So the best booker of 2025 has let a show that at one time was getting 0.33 ratings. It got down recently to as low as a 0.02. And yeah, okay, great. Collision Grand Slam from Australia. You had 7,000 fans in attendance in Australia, 21,000 seat building. And you got a 0.10 rating. That shows you that you're just basically admitting here that if you try to get Collision popular, you could get it better. You could get it better views, but you don't put effort into it. So this week, I'm sure it's going to be back down to the regular rating because you should put that kind of effort into promoting Collision every week. I don't think that's anything to celebrate. I think that's if I was, they're selling to Netflix, TBS and TNT are selling. So who knows, the show's probably going to be canceled once that sale finishes. But if I was like, one of the executives, I would be like, okay, you did a 0.10 rating. You put a lot of effort into making this a good show. Why aren't you doing this every week? Why is this the outlier? Why do you not put effort into it? Is it because you're overworked and you can't handle it? Well, we're paying you 180 plus million a year for these shows. Why are you not producing better? That's what I would say. By the way, Mercedes Moné is doing independence now all over the world, but she's taking a break from AEW. Make sense of that to me. You're paying her $4 or $5 million a year, but she's doing independence rather than be on your show every week. Doesn't even make sense. A former WWE broadcaster, Hilla Becker, disagrees with the company's approach to politics. I guess she was doing an interview where the ICE chants in AEW came up. Starting to get. She said, Kayla Braxton, who I don't even remember, but apparently she was an announcer for WWE. She said she's been using her social media accounts since her release to talk a lot openly about her political views. She admits that she's lost followers and friends due to this, but she thinks it's important to speak up about what she feels is right and wrong. She says she got WWE brass riled up due to some political stuff she posted when with the company. Here's a quote from her. When I worked for WWE, I was never allowed to speak my views because we were an entertainment company and we don't want people to we don't want them to be saddened by what's happening in the world. Cop out. We had a giant platform. That's exactly what you should be using your platform to speak up about, what's right and wrong. And I'm over it, end quote. So she thinks that WWE wrestling, which is supposed to be brainless, it's supposed to be an escape from reality. Honestly, that's what wrestling used to be about. It used to be fun, non-woke, politically free time where you could yell anything you want at the wrestlers and not have to worry about assholes like Sami Zayn getting you kicked out of the building. But he's done that. And it's happened. Female wrestlers have got their feelings hurt. Had fans kicked out of the building a lot in recent years too. It's not like it used to be. Feelings are a thing, but she's even admitting she's lost fans and followers from speaking her political views. WWE is about making money. Why would they? First of all, they're in bed with Saudi Arabia. Okay. That shows you a little bit about what they think about right and wrong, in my opinion. That's a political view I have. That there is some stuff that goes on there that's against human rights, and I don't like it at all. But I don't think wrestling should be a place where it's all about politics. First of all, not even everyone in the same company is going to have the same views, so it's going to cause turmoil within the company, and it is going to lose you fans. I'm positive the F ICE chants, the ICE, from what I understand, they're getting rid of the illegals in the U.S. Why do you want illegals in your country? I really don't know. I don't understand it. Because I'm in the process of immigrating here and I'm doing it legally. And it's costing me a lot. So I don't feel bad for the people that aren't doing it legally. I really don't. So that's all I'll say about that. Powerhouse Hobbs, I guess, has been doing some dark matches. He did one in Dallas. They've pretty much ignored his lackluster Royal Rumble debut, because I guess they made a mistake doing it in Saudi Arabia. He wasn't in the Royal Rumble very long, and people didn't really know who he was, so they're probably going to re-debut him. As far as TNA, they had a pay-per-view in Nashville, February 13th, before about 1,400 fans, including comps. Nashville, by the way, is where their headquarters is. Jelly Roll was at ringside during the show. Jelly Roll also lives in Nashville. And he's affiliated with WWE, and TNA is affiliated with WWE. So I would expect that's why he was there. Gable Steveson, former WWE wrestler, Olympic gold medalist, is now 3-0 in MMA. He had another first-round knockout. It looks like he's going to have a good MMA career. I mean, he's been wrestling. He's been fighting. To me, they look like tomato cans overall. Thank you for getting a membership, Joe, by the way. Helps support the channel. But I think he has a good future in MMA. They're bringing him up into it well. And it's probably going to be for the best that WWE didn't work out for him, because UFC needs a heavyweight now, and they're very low on star power. John Jones and Conor McGregor are probably two of their biggest stars they have, and it's up in the air whether either one of those two will ever fight again. But apparently Stevenson trains with Jones. I'm impressed. Somebody says, can he be at the Toronto event in August? I'm not sure what he's talking about there. I am putting on an event this August myself. More information is going to come out of that once I'm able to say. Somebody says the original WWF was way better than today's wrestler. Tom Brady is no wrestler but a wimpy football player. I hope that's a joke. I mean, I don't know much about football. My high school only had rugby. We were 2-time city champions with me as a key enforcer on the team. I wish we had football, because everyone that ever saw me amateur wrestle told me I would be a good football player. My parents were not football fans, so they didn't push me into it. I wish I had done football, because I think I would have been good at it. All I'm saying is I agree with Tom Brady that you could best describe Logan Paul in WWE as cute. Cute, you're playing wrestler, buddy. You're making a lot of money. Good for you. It's cute, just like him selling his 16 million Pokemon card. He knows how to make money. Bad Bunny might miss WrestleMania. Logan Paul, who said him versus Bad Bunny at WrestleMania would be the greatest match of all time. No, that would just show you how low wrestling has gotten. Donnie says, God bless everyone. Yes. Am I a cowboy? Well, I've been told by cowboys I could call myself a cowboy since I've ridden a bull at a rodeo. So yes. And I certainly have a cowboy personality about me. They should be mad at Brady. Wrestling is more physical than football. I really don't think that. Stop it with the Saudi shows. Well, they're in bed with the Saudis. That's not happening. I truly think Saudi Arabia. I think WWE's popularity, we're seeing a lot of signs of the decline now. Yes, because the ringside tickets for WrestleMania are, I think, as much as $25,000 per night. They're going to have a higher gate than ever because of the handful of super fans that are still going to pay that much for a very lackluster card. But I don't think there's a bright future in wrestling. I really don't. It's not considered cool. You keep letting the cat out of the bag about what it is. There's less experienced wrestlers out there than ever. There's literally less events per capita than ever. Everyone thinks it's so great. Vince McMahon took over wrestling, made it national. There used to be 33 places to work. Now, really, there's WWE and not even TNA, because TNA, you're only wrestling, 3 or 4 times a month? The contracts aren't that good, only for a select few. WWE and AEW, you can make a lot of money if you're not in any of those. There's very few places to work. And if you're black, see, Bruno Sammartino was blackballed at one point. He went to Toronto, got popular there, and his fame outweighed the blackballedness and was able to come back to be one of the greatest stars of all time. For me, now being blackballed, there's nowhere to even work to show somewhere else. Like, if they don't like you in the big companies, it's not like I can go to Puerto Rico even and say, oh, I'm going to set Puerto Rico on fire, because there's hardly any shows in Puerto Rico anymore. You can't make a full-time living hardly anywhere. So, yes, Vince McMahon put everyone out of business, and we're left with a very political business where there's really only 2 legitimate places to work in Canada and the US. There's more injuries in wrestling than any sport. I don't know where you're getting that figure. I'm not saying wrestling isn't physical and I haven't been injured in wrestling, but it's a performance, and they're going around showing people that wrestlers hug and cry. That's pathetic. Unreal is the hugging and crying show, right? We all hug Triple H. We cry after matches. We hug each other. It's just makes me want to puke. But I do want to do my own events this summer, but there's also other industries that I'm planning to get in the future. So thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful Saturday night.